Welcome tonight. We have a great event planned for you on Millennials and some really good data. My name is Mario Tapia. I direct Mobile Monday here in Silicon Valley. And I have a couple of slides to show you tonight about what is Mobile Monday. So who's never been to a Mobile Monday event? Yeah, it's usually half of you guys. Cool. So the agenda for tonight is really, I'm going to welcome you guys. We'll have a brief from Telefonica telling them, to kind of explain why they did this survey on Millennials. We have an awesome keynote. Leveton was contracted out by Telefonica and the Financial Times to do the survey on Millennials. And then we'll have Suze Barnes and an awesome lineup of panelists to do some discussion on the data. A little bit about Mobile Monday. We're a 501c6 nonprofit. Everyone's what is the 6 about? And that basically puts us in the ranking of the NFL and some other organizations. In the US, we're in Austin, we're in Dallas, Boston, Denver, Hollywood, New York, Silicon Valley, Washington, and there's quite a few other cities, but these tend to be the major tech hubs that we have in North America. We have an email and social media outreach of over 20,000 entrepreneurs. And also, as you can see, some of our events are pretty big, 400 to 600. So this is, get out your binoculars. There's over 140 cities now with Mobile Monday. So tonight, I know Melbourne's meeting tonight, Tel Aviv met tonight. Some major cities all around the world are meeting, just like you, getting together on different topics. So a little bit about what you guys are. And we're about a third business development and sales. We're about a third on the developer side, another third of product marketing. We have a little bit of VC, a little bit of media folks, as well as designers and user experience folks. And then our active membership is actually 11,000 now. So we're growing about a couple hundred a month. Just a little bit about what we do. So we're actually really, really busy, as you can tell. We do monthly events based on a certain topic. Just like we're doing Millennials, and I think earlier this month, we also had another event focused on audio. We also do Mobile Monday Labs, which we also had last week at AT&T's Innovation Center called the Foundry. And that was just about making your apps faster. So the Mobile Monday Labs are also on meetup.com. You guys can check those out. And basically, they're really technically focused. So if you have a GitHub account, you're welcome to come. If you don't know what a GitHub account is, then maybe you don't belong in the meetup. We also have CXO dinners. We had a great one last week sponsored by Telefonica, and it's also topic-based, but this is if you're a founder, if you're large company, executive level, and we get everyone together, and we also try to base them on themes. So last week we had one with Telefonica on augmented reality and the next generation of mapping technology, like indoor maps. Some of our previous sponsors that we've had, and it keeps on growing, and we also appreciate a lot of the sponsorship because it really makes these events for you free. Get you guys together. Also a little bit about what we're doing at Mobile Monday that's keeping us busy is also an accelerator, and I think a lot of you probably haven't heard about this. It started as an idea last December over coffee and tea with with Artie Merritt, one of the other guys who organizes Mobile Monday. And it was like, hey, we should do an accelerator. We think about it, and this was kind of what we got together. So we announced it in early March, took applicants during the month of April, and then kicked it off in May. So basically it's a May, June, July semester. We picked out 5 companies from around the world. 5 are actually local. So Squirrel focuses on it's like a Hulu type of solution. Orbius, which is actually really, really awesome computer vision. So that is very Terminator-like, and a lot of talk about Google Glass. They're right in the middle of that technology for facial recognition, as well as image recognition. So it's a really cool company as well. Locomizer is really focusing on aggregating large quantities of location information and analyzing it for their clients to do better targeting on the advertising space. And the same as Pocket Math. Pocket Math is also focusing on gathering profile data and allowing advertisers to do better targeting with profile data. And this is in partnership with Samsung, Intuit, PayPal, Wilson Sonsini, and also rocket space. So this is a very cool, this is new. We're the first ones of all the Mobile Monday chapters doing this. And you can also find us at momentum.mobilemonday.us if you want more information. Our next semester starts in September, and in July is when applications will open up. We'll get about 200 to 300 startups from around the world to apply to that. The team, it's me. I kind of direct and lead all the efforts. We also have Brandon, Breon, Jeremiah. So some of these names you might be familiar. We have John filming over here somewhere. Where's John? Filming. He's got his camera set up. Jose's running around taking pictures right now. We also have Jesse Martinez, Artie, Mark Silva, and also Korean who's heading up our social media. So this is where to find us. We're at www.mobilemonday.us, and that kind of redirects over to Meetup. So it's a great place to find out what's coming up next. I think I already have September, October, November, December already mapped out. And then we're still working on July and in August events. And also this event, I think for the last couple of years, John has been taping this, and this is available on Ustream. So if you've missed out in the past, we have some awesome topics. You can also find them there on Ustream. And also tonight's event is brought to you by Telefonica, so I'd like to give a round of applause to Telefonica. And I'd like to introduce to you next is Wayne Thorson from Telefonica to give you a little brief on the survey and why they did the survey.
Hi, I'm Wayne Thorson. I'm the Vice President of Global Partnerships for Telefonica. I want to give a big thank you to Mario and Artie and the Mobile Monday team, as well as the Mobile Commerce World. I keep saying Mobile Congress, obviously. The conference for letting us present this research. I think it's pretty compelling stuff, and I hope you enjoy it. For those of you who are not familiar with Telefonica, because it's not a brand name here in the U.S., we are one of the world's largest telecom companies. We have operations in 20 countries and about 330 million subscribers worldwide. About 2 years ago, Telefonica decided to create a new division to take this entire massive company with 290,000 employees beyond connectivity. So it's a lot of work. I run the global partnerships team within Telefonica Digital. And what we do is we work with partners to find ways to create new products and innovate in that way, or find their innovations and find ways to help them distribute them across the world in our operating businesses in Europe and America. I think what is so striking to me about this survey is the differences in perceptions that we're going to see between people from different regions, which is incredibly critical, because when we think about the people who are represented in this survey, they are very likely to solve many of the world's thorniest problems, or at least have a better chance of solving many of the world's thorniest problems over the next few years. And the most empowering thing that we could do is give them full access to information. And I can't think actually really of a more rewarding endeavor. So with that, I'll be very brief. I'd like to introduce you to Jay Leveton, who led the research from Burson Marsteller. And Jay, come on up.
Thank you. Please give a round of applause.
So well, thank you. As Wayne said, we endeavor to truly understand what the global millennials really were thinking and how they approached technology and how they approached really just their whole lives in general. And I think when you look at the survey, I think we didn't consult the Guinness Book, but if you see here, this is truly the largest, most comprehensive global study of adult millennials so far to date. And so what does that really look like? So we conducted around 12,171 interviews, exactly with a margin of error of less than 1%. And as you'll see here, we've taken them from every single part of the world, whether it be North America, Latin America, Eastern Europe, Western Europe, a small part of Africa, Asia, Asia Pacific, and Australia as well. So this is truly an understanding of what millennials are thinking around the world. in particular. So I think as you look at it, it's important to understand where these people are coming from. As Wayne said, you'll truly understand the differences of how these people think, how they approach technology, how they view their economy, how they view their society, and how their own personal beliefs. And so as you look at this is truly 12,000 interviews from around the world. And then who are these people? If you look at them from a gender point of view, these are 50-50 men and women. They're split, some are 18 to 24, some are 25 to 30. And I think what's also interesting, half of these people are employed, a third are students, and then the rest of them are not currently employed. And I think it's not surprisingly, 2/3 of them are single, and 1/4 of them have children in particular. So when you look at this group, if you look at these demographics, you would say, wow, this does look like the people who voted for Barack Obama. Okay? So this tends to be, as you look at this, and you look at these people, and you look at their political ideology, you look at them and the way they approach the world and their issue sets, these tend to be very liberal, progressive, as you say in the United States. Or if you looked at it in the European point of view, you would say these people are fairly humanistic. The European ambassador corrected me when I said liberal or progressive. In Europe, that means something different from the liberal and progressive here in the US. So they tend to be slightly more humanistic in how they look at this. So this is a generation that what we normally have seen tends to be a little left-leaning. But then what we see is this, as generations older and mature, and I think the natural human event that takes place when people mature and when they have children, they tend to be slightly more conservative. It kind of changes the way that you view things. And so this tends to be, as I said, slightly left. But then in particular, what I want to do is try to break this down into 4 different sections and get you through the survey, and then let our panelists come up and talk a little bit more deeply about it. So I think what's important is you to truly have to understand the way that they view themselves is really an understanding of how they view technology, is critically defining how they think and how they live and how they work. And then also in particular, I think it's also important to look at what impact is the economy, their government, institutions, religion, impacting the way that they view their outside world. And then where does the opportunity lie? There's an understanding here of entrepreneurship is important to them. Can they make a local difference? Can they make a global difference? And then which countries, which regions around the world truly are driving the way that people are thinking? I think it's not surprising as you look at this, China in particular, and also other countries in Asia have a lot of momentum and enthusiasm in a way that you don't see in Western or Central or Eastern Europe, or even that you see in North America, despite that can-do spirit is still pretty strong here in North America. And then I think the last thing we want to look at is just who are the people that we truly think, as Wayne said, who are the people that are truly going to solve some of the most challenging problems that we face, or the issues that we face here and around the world, is the people that we think are going to be the true leaders, the top 10% of the generation. So given that, let me walk you through some of the findings. Let's just a deeper look at how they handle technology. As you see here, this is a group that has very strong ownership of smartphones. I think as you look at smartphone generation around the world, it's around 30%. These people are saying in upward ranges of 60 to 70, 80% are using smartphones. They're using their laptops, they're obviously using their desktop, and then very high levels of tablet ownership in particular here. So they're surrounded by technology, not just one piece of equipment, but by many. And as you go to the next slide, you truly see that this generation treats the internet like the last couple of generations have treated the television. The millennials say they're spending 7 hours of time online, 5 hours in Europe or the Middle East, Africa, and 6 hours in Asia. So this is a group that's treating the internet like they've treated television in the past. And I think what's interesting, if you looked and you thought about what is the one word that they use to describe technology, I think at the end of the day they're using the term opportunity. It doesn't necessarily mean that you'll have the best outcome, that you'll be successful, but the view is that if you're able to master technology, if you're able to use it and inculcate it into your lifestyle, you're going to have the greater opportunity to be successful. And I think what's interesting, we asked people, 87% of people agreed, or the millennials agreed with this idea that technology has made language barriers easier to overcome. 69% thought it created more opportunities for all rather than a few, and 83% thought it would be technology made it easier to get a job. Now, doesn't necessarily mean they'll get the job. They thought it was easier to obtain the job, which I think is an important differentiator. I think what's also to keep in mind is that this group, given that they tend to be slightly left-leaning, is that there's an overriding concern, and I think we'll look at this from a regional point of view, But if there's an overriding concern here around a real sense of concern and anxiety around social and financial inequality. In particular, so I think even as people think technology is an opportunity and empowering, I think overall there's this overall sense that technology has the opportunity to widen the gap between rich and poor. And overall, I think what you'll see is the economy and the challenges that they face, particularly in Europe, particularly in the US, are really hurting their ability to be optimistic. And I think sometimes we feel that this generation, I think Time Magazine came out with a cover story a couple months ago that actually I couldn't disagree with more vehemently. They show the idea of millennials being lazy or actually feeling entitled. I think what this data actually show you is that they're actually fairly concerned. They know that they need to use technology to get ahead. But overall, I think the sense of entitlement that millennials are getting labeled with actually is a bum rap.